G'day guys, Peter Kafkas.
And I'm Peter Gowers for iProperty NT TV.
Welcome to another episode.
Yes, and look, today's episode, I thought we might start a new segment from now on.
New segment.
Because, I mean, real estate's one of those industries where a lot of people know about the business, they know bits and pieces, but they don't know exactly what we do. They know the basics, but they don't understand the depth to which we go to do certain things.
Yes.
What I find, as I'm sure you do, is when you meet people who are not in the business and have not used real estate agents before, they're often quite intrigued about, what you do, how you do it, how the whole process is done, and I find it brings lots and lots of questions.
Okay.
So I thought, what could be better than having a Q&A segment on a regular basis?
Q&A.
Q&A, because like you, I get stacks of emails and questions that to you and me look really, really obvious.
Yeah.
But to the buyer or sellers of this world, it's not so obvious. So I wanted to start today where we've talked a lot recently about private treaty versus auction.
Yep.
And I guess we've made our feelings known on that subject. And I guess there's often a misconception that we don't like auctions, which is completely not the case. But
that's right.
There's times when it's appropriate for them, there's times when it's not appropriate for them. And in this market, we're finding at the moment that usually the private treaty sale is the most effective to get the vendors the best price at sale, which is obviously our job.
Yeah.
So I had an email from Wendy the other day.
Wendy.
And it was really interesting. It was really topical because of a few things that had been seen and written, etc. in the last few weeks. And one of the things that Wendy wanted to know about was, she said, I'm a bit confused because I had found a place that I really wanted to buy. My preference was to not buy at an auction, but I didn't really have a choice because I found the perfect place.
Okay.
And she said she was really disappointed because, she'd paid for her inspections and she'd paid for her report, so she could effectively go unconditional if she needed to.
So this is bid at auction?
This is to bid at auction. And she was really disappointed because the property sold for $150,000 more than what the price guide had been. And she was really confused by the process.
Right.
So I thought, what a great opportunity for us to have a chat about it and to talk a little bit more on the topic and to introduce this Q&A segment. And this is a really hot topic right now.
All right, let's get started with the first question.
Yeah, so I guess the question from Wendy came down to, why does this happen? How does this happen?
Yep.
And, surely there's got to be rules and regulations against things like that, because, the point she made is correct. You can't have $150,000 price difference.
Yeah.
It's just too wild a swing. Now,
yes.
In our business, when selling a private treaty, back in the day, of course, we would often sort of crow from the rooftops if we ever sold a property for more than the asking price.
Yeah.
But that was in a hot market.
That's right, you can do that.
And an asking price is a very, very different price to a price guide.
Yeah, price guide.
So I did a little bit of research beforehand, not because I didn't know what it meant, but I thought, look, I might just see what other people are thinking about this. And I just took a couple of quotes. Apologies if I'm looking down and reading, but a couple of quotes that I saw. An agent had made this quote down south, and he said, "Quote it low, watch it go. Quote it high, watch it die."
Wow.
And I thought, the fact that expression even exists tells me there's a few problems. But in Sydney last year, they've introduced a system now where you can't put lowball price guides out there, or you can, but if there's too much of a discrepancy, the agent will lose all their commission and they can be fined up to $22,000.
Wow, because of agents lowballing.
Because of agents lowballing. So let's look at Darwin, for example, and Wendy was a buyer in Darwin, or is a potential buyer in Darwin. The particular property that she liked the look of, the price guide given to her was $450,000.
Yeah, price guide over $450?
Correct.
Okay.
Now that property sold for $600,000.
Oh.
So they're not even in the same league
Oh.
those prices. And like I said, I just thought we get asked lots of questions all the time, and I think Q&A is always really important for people who are just trying to educate themselves on the market and what's going on. So look, let's talk about it. Price guides.
Yes.
Where are they at?
Well, yeah, look, a price guide is meant to be a guide to give you an idea of where approximately the property should sell. It's a guide because we all know if you come to an auction open house, we can't actually tell you a price.
Correct.
We're going to tell you, go research the property down the road, find it similar, what they're asking, and see what the market's doing, and then we'll give you a guide to let you know where it should be.
So if we were going to sell a property at auction, which we do, where do you think is a reasonable percentile difference between the price guide and the eventual selling price?
Yeah, look, it's going to be within 5%.
Correct. So when we sell a property under a private treaty situation, which is basically where you see a for sale sign out the front, you come to an open for inspection, you have a look through, and there's a negotiation process that takes place. We price that property based on historical sales in the neighbourhood, within a certain time frame, of course, because markets go up and down, and we also use comparable for sale prices at that time.
Yep.
So within a very defined zone, we can work that out.
Yeah.
So $150,000 discrepancy
From 450 to 600.
yeah, it's classic shenanigans. And I know some agents out there, will sit there and wave a big flag. Oh, we got 150,000 over price guide, but that's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is.
You're making the buyers look silly by doing that.
Yeah, and here's something else. If that was a private treaty situation where we said offers over 450, and we happen to snag 600, chances are in a declining market, a valuer would look at that and just cancel that contract.
Yeah, and
it's not that easy.
It's a really good point, and it was the same in the rising market, is that you have to understand we price a property based on market results and market current for sale. So comparable properties at that moment in time. If the discrepancy is too large, it's out of our hands because banks will value every property. Gone are the days of the drive-by valuations, which were literally, yes, there is a house there. Yes, it is the right suburb. Yes, it is the right address. Those days are gone. So, you've got to have a realistic price. Within a percentage. They're not silly either, the banks. And if someone's willing to pay that much, no problem. But if it's 20% difference, that's just no chance.
Higher in a declining market. Now, let's put things in context. If the property was price guide over $2 million and we happen to snag an extra 100K, that's not too bad.
5%. Correct.
Great number.
Yeah. So that's exactly right.
Yeah.
It's when you see ridiculous fluctuations that equal a very high percentage that someone's done the wrong thing.
And you've got to really see what's going on in this market. And let's tell you, if a property you bought for $600,000 about 4 or 5 years ago, it's most likely worth around $450,000. So if you're hearing the price guide and then that happens, something's seriously wrong because it's the other way around.
Correct. And markets change. So there are still people in the market who think that, well, my house was valued at X price 5 years ago, therefore I won't sell it for less than that. Well, that's right. You won't sell it. That's the reality.
That's right.
And if you're in love with it and you want to hold on to it, then we'd encourage you to do that. We've always said, if you have to sell, of course, but we're here to guide you on what that's going to sell for. We have no vested interest in making it high or low. We just want to get you sold for the best price that we possibly can for you, but taking into account all the realistic prices within the market.
Absolutely. I'm Peter Kafkas.
And I'm Peter Gowers for iProperty NT. We'll catch you next time.